And we're back, and somebody in the comments, Infinitrico H, asked if I'm going to do the other routes after I do Rin's route. And the answer is yes. YouTube, being the great website it is, wouldn't let me comment or reply to you, so there you go. After that morning class and throughout the week, I keep bumping into Rin. Hello. This is somewhat natural, as our classrooms are adjacent, but rather than just cross paths in the hallway like we regularly do, we seem to pause at the sight of each other. We invariably end up talking a little bit, or just silently hang out together. I think I'm getting used to being quiet in Rin's company, as it doesn't feel awkward anymore. I am by nature somewhat introverted like her, so we fit in together. I think it's actually an anomaly for someone in this school to be so quiet. Most people here seem to love socializing. It's something that I've noticed already, even though I haven't been here very long. People here talk a lot, and they talk all the time. It's a rare case when I see someone sitting alone, just spacing out or whatever. Obviously, there are people like that here too, that Hanako girl and myself, just to name two from my class, but overall, they are a minority. At any rate, I wouldn't exactly call what Rin and I do socializing either, but it's something at least. These occurrences themselves don't bother me, but the fact that they happen at all does. I'd hesitate to say that we are drawn together by something, but we certainly act as if we were. However, the sense of budding friendship is completely wrecked every time Rin opens her mouth. Can I listen to your heartbeat? She says this or something else about as outrageous, and I have to fend off whatever nonsense her mind has cooked up during the preceding class of a subject that she is not interested in. It seems Rin has taken a shine to my heart condition as some kind of an extension of her interest in the odder disabilities that people have here, and the consequences of said afflictions. As I stand in front of her for a second too long, looking as flu-moxed, as I am, she concludes it is necessary to further clarify her request. I know I can, but I mean, will you let me? Why? Do I need a reason? I'm usually pretty bad with reasons. Not per se, but if you want to do it, you probably do have a reason. That's kind of clever. You are smarter than you look. Also, I'd rather you not. I think these things should be private. Private, I get it. I can tell you something, though. If it amuses you, I'm pretty sure it will. My heartbeat does sound pretty weird because of the, condition. And I hear it all the time. So you're paranoid. It's not a question, it's a statement. No, I'm not paranoid. The doctors said that abnormal attention to heartbeat is a common symptom of my condition. So for you, it's normal to be paranoid. That's not a question either. One could also say that me being like this, in the first place, isn't normal either, but what the heck. Paranoia fits me. I don't think it's something that actually can fit anyone or anywhere. I ate an orange today for breakfast. Fun. How was it? I'm vaguely proud of myself managing to keep up with Rin's sudden change of topic. Excellent, I remember when I last ate an orange because it's annoying to peel one. Oh, that does make sense. It's on the list of things I want to learn properly. How come you ate one then? Emmy had some, so she peeled one for me. Good for you. Rin stretches her back and yawns and says nothing further. She throws a glance from the corner of our eye while she watches people pass by, but I couldn't say why. I realize, though, this is the first time I've talked naturally about my condition with anyone, in a way. A group of boys walk past us to Rin's classroom, but she doesn't pay them any mind. They pay none to her either. My mind wanders off, spurred by the silence. Maybe I should have let her listen to my heart. It's not like it matters. Nothing really matters that much at the end of the day. I start feeling depressed for no reason again. It's like a tidal wave out of nowhere rolling across my consciousness, submerging me underwater. I feel a sigh coming out of my mouth, and I turn away from Rin, pretending to read a poster on the wall. It's an advertisement for the school festival, promoting an event almost a week past. The difference between me and Rin is that I'll be more likely than not dead before turning 30, while she can't eat oranges without help. I can't decide which of us is worse off. I try to grasp a passing of time, but it seems hard. I'm still used to the rhythm of the hospital, where trivialities such as the day of the week or time of day didn't really matter. Everything was the same no matter what. Rediscovering the significance of time is an oddly disorienting experience, and I find myself enjoying the fact that I can categorize events in this fashion. The relevancy of a ticking clock is surprisingly delightful, and I decide to start wearing an analog wristwatch, something I didn't used to do before. When I finally ask Rin on Thursday about something that's been bothering me for the entire week, it's already lunchtime. The time is somewhere between 11:06 and 11:07, as my watch doesn't have a hand to show seconds. It's the old-fashioned kind with a black leather strap and titanium casing. It doesn't look flashy, but a wristwatch doesn't need to. I'm not sure what the point of showing me that was. Hey, remember that sketch you made of me? How you said I looked grim and gloomy or something? I'd like to know what you meant by that. She gives me a weird look and tilts her head a few degrees to the left, but doesn't say anything for a while. Well, you see, we've known each other for 2 weeks, and I haven't seen you smile even once. Her striking observation gives me pause. Have I stopped smiling? I have to take what she says as truth. She has no reason to lie. Something about the way she puts it annoys me. I frown at her and then try to correct my expression to look less depressed. I haven't been in the cheeriest of moods during the past few months or so, this is true. Does it show so much that someone like Rin can tell, even after so little contact with me? Should I try to smile more at Rin? Maybe she could appreciate it, having such a neutral face herself most of the time. Well, she would probably be able to tell if you forced it. Have I really stopped smiling? I see. Should I smile more? I don't mind either way. Be as you are. You can't help being Izao anyway. But it bothers you. I just noticed it, that's all. Emmy skips along the hallway, jumps to a sharp stop when she reaches us, and lightly pats her in the shoulder. Ready for lunch? Depends on what lunch is today. Remember that stew from March? Never again. That. Let's go anyway, I'm starving. As they're about to depart, Emmy turns from her friend to me, seemingly as an afterthought, and smiles charmingly. By the way, Izao, your tone is way too sweet and soft to be sincere. I can sense it, the trap about to be sprung upon me in this miniature health devil. I know what she's about to say even before she continues, because I've been trying to avoid her all week. I still haven't seen you at the track this entire week. Maybe I've been there when you haven't. That's impossible, I'm there all the time. But you sleep and go to class. I do those at the same time as you do. Yeah, I know, I just haven't been able to pick myself up. Don't rat me out to the nurse, okay? Running just isn't my thing. I haven't come up with a good alternative. Why don't you come to the track meet this weekend? Maybe you'll get inspired. Track meet. Yeah, people from a few other schools come here for some friendly track and field action. It's on Sunday afternoon. I can't think of any reason not to go. Sure, I'll come and cheer for you. I guess you'll be running? Of course, you'll get to see me beat them all. But by now, if I don't get something to eat, I'll die. See you later. Byron, I promise I'll smile next time. I call after her as a bit of an afterthought. Afterwards, I feel embarrassed about it and wonder why I said anything at all. The night when I'm doubly certain that Kenji won't be barging in the bathroom, I look in the mirror and smile at my reflection. The me in the mirror smiling at me in the bathroom looks awfully fake. What? It's already been 8 minutes? Jeez. Having exhausted the books that Kenji lent me in just a few nights, I go back to the library deeming it a safer alternative for getting my reading fix. I return the books he had stolen while I'm at it, to Yuko's delight. I don't tell her where I got them, though. Wow, you sure read a lot, don't you? Yeah, I guess I do. I mean, I do. Even I think it's weird. I think I might have a reading problem. Maybe I'm a junkie. No, I didn't mean it that way. It's not weird at all. And being addicted to reading is a lot better than being addicted to something else. Yeah, I know. It was a joke. I smile at her reassuringly and drop the books on the counter so Yuko can check them out. I feel tired, so I sit down in the vacant chair in front of her desk. While Yuko goes through the modest pile of reading material I found, I let my gaze wander around the library. At the tables, a pair of girls is chatting in hushed tones rather than working on their homework. The short-haired one notices me looking in their direction and waves at me. When I raise my hand back, they glance at each other and giggle in unison. Not sure how I should feel about that, so I decide it's a good thing. The one who waved at me has a horrible case of epilepsy. I saw her having an attack a few days ago. It was one of the most disturbing and scary things I've seen in a long time. Yet there she is, happily chirping away about whatever, as if she doesn't have a care in the world. You know, this school is really something else. Yuko raises her eyes from the books she was going through, slightly startled. She adjusts her glasses and puts on a nervous, confused smile. What do you mean? I don't really know how to explain it, just that everyone's so active, or how should I put it? It's not just the festival thing, I think, even though I haven't been here that long, but it's everything. People talk more, work harder, and just are more than any other school I've seen before. I'm struggling for words, but it feels like I'm speaking honestly. The school feels so alive. Well, let's save, even though I know exactly which choice I'm going for. Makes me feel like I'm stuck. It's refreshing, yeah. Why would I go with the other one? That one seems awfully melancholy for this situation. Sure, there were some people like this in my old school too, but not that many, and it feels more intense somehow. I think if I had to pin it down to one thing, that the students here really appreciate going to school. I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah, me neither. Suddenly I realized I've been babbling my thoughts to Yuka out of the blue. She's a bit of a jumpy person, so I fear I might have made a bad impression. She's looking at me with what I hope is curiosity rather than horror, so I figure she's alright. Sorry for suddenly talking about weird stuff like this. I didn't mean to trouble you. Oh no, it's not troubling. I'm happy to listen if you feel like talking. Makes me feel a little reliable, too. Yuko smiles sweetly and a little bit ironically at that. I respond with a thankful smile of my own. As she pushes the neat stack of books across the counter, I stand up and gather them in my arms. Here you are. Oh, wait a minute. I respond with a thankful smile. Look, he smiled. Here you are. Thank you. Guess we'll be meeting each other again. Please come here anytime. Yuko's kindness is heartwarming. You can count on it. See you later. Well, I thought I only did this when there was like when he went to sleep. Did he just get up, go to the library, and then go back to sleep? The morning of the track meet greets me with a brilliant sunshine from a crystal blue sky. While I leisurely stroll towards the track, I decide this is a good thing. Of course, I'm not sure. This event isn't as exciting for me as it seems to be for a large portion of the student body. I'm even less interested in watching sports than I'm participating, but cheering for Emmy is a good cause. Not expecting this to be any sort of amazing, spectacular experience, but it can't hurt. I'd probably be spending the time reading while cooped up in my room otherwise. When I approach the bleachers, I spot Rin emerging from the crowd right before she spots me. You came. Of course, I said I would, didn't I? And doesn't necessarily imply you had to follow through. Lots of people say things they don't mean them. Well, I don't. Rin shrugs, seemingly bored with our conversation. She turns on her heels and heads back towards the stands. So, are you excited about this? Not really. Me neither. Then why did you come? Why did you? She doesn't reply at all, so I decide not to either. We enter the bleachers and Rin nods upwards. Up there. Rin leads the way, and soon we settle down on an almost empty bench. There's an older woman sitting next to Rin, someone's mother, I assume. She's got rather long hair done up in a braid. On seeing Rin, she gives an oddly familiar-seeming grin. Well, this is surprising. I thought you went to get a snack, not a boy. Huh? This is no good? The woman laughs at Rin and shakes her head, apparently unable to find a comeback. For that, I know the feeling. Well, I suppose you've always been one to go out for one thing and bring back another. But I'm being rude. I haven't introduced myself. I'm Meiko Ibarazaki. I'm sure that you know this girl. You've at least met my daughter, too. Pleased to meet you. Well, that explains it. She's like a taller, older, more motherly Emmy. Emmy. Apart from her hair being somewhat darker than her daughter's, there's really no mistaking the resemblance. Cannot read today. Sorry, I'm Hisao. Hisao Nakai. Nice to meet you. I'm Rin Tezuka. Miss Ibarazaki laughs again. She really does resemble her offspring, and then leans back a little on her seat and raises an eyebrow. So, now that we all know each other, how long have you and Rin been dating? Oh, my response consists of silence as my brain suddenly lurches into gear, but just before I can begin to utter a hastily babbled explanation, Emmy's mother bursts into laughter again. You're a blusher, aren't you? I don't know if there's any way to keep my dignity in this situation, so I settle for a mumbled response. We're not. I know, but it's funny to watch you squirm. I'm sorry for giving an old woman her amusements. She chuckles again to herself. Old woman? She doesn't look that old to me. I suppose I can let her go. How kind of you. It's starting. I direct my attention to the track where they're preparing for the first sprint. Looks like the 400-meter dash. My eyes scan the runners before finding Emmy. She's smiling with an almost cocky look on her face. The starter raises his pistol. Emmy explodes off the block, disappearing from the starting line in a blur. It's amazing. Even as the other sprinters converge on the lanes closest to the inside line, Emmy surges to the front of the pack. By the time she rounds the final turn, a few of the other runners have caught up with her. But she puts on a final burst of speed that leaves them at least half a second behind. Miss Ibarazaki whoops and shouts, applauding wildly and generally looking like any other parent cheering on the child. Emmy bounds off the track, looking pleased with herself. I cheer right along with the rest of them. The announcer, sounding suspiciously like Misha, gleefully gives the results. I think she's gotten faster since last time. That was incredible. Mrs. Ibarazaki grins proudly. Emi's a heck of a runner. We fall silent as the next event prepares to start. Surprised to see Emmy striding out onto the track again. Wait, didn't she just run? Emmy's mother nods. Yes, but she runs multiple events for the team, especially the sprints. It's a lot of running, but Emmy can handle it. From the looks of things, she's right. Emmy doesn't appear to be tired as if she hadn't run the previous event at all. If not for the sweat visible on her shirt, you'd never know. Which event is this? It's the 200-meter dash. She'll do this one, the 100-meter, and the relay. I see. Once again, the pistol sounds, and once again, Emmy flies off the block. A thumping sound draws my attention away from the race. It's Rin's foot. She seems completely absorbed in the race. Emmy's mother cheers again, and I assume that the race is over. Sprints don't seem to me like they take very long to complete. Your foot. Your foot was bouncing on the bleachers. Oh. You seem pretty into this stuff. I'm surprised. I thought you said this wouldn't be exciting. I suppose you're right. It's not that interesting. But I'm watching Emmy, not the sport. I don't follow. Emmy's the most Emmy when she runs. You don't get to see Emmy in her Emmyest very often, But here, you can, see? She directs my attention towards the track again where the 100-meter dash is about to start. I watch Emmy closely. She gets into the starter blocks, her whole body seems to relax, but it's a false relaxation. I can see that she's actually like a coiled spring. As the starter tells everyone to get set, her head snaps up and her eyes narrow slightly. Her mouth curls upwards in what could be a grin and could be a growl. When the pistol goes off, it's as if she's been unleashed from a cage, like she was always moving at this blinding speed, but we couldn't see it happening until the starter's pistol dispelled the illusion of motionlessness. As soon as she crossed the finish line, the fierce look was replaced by her normal grin. Conquering general, returning to his farm. Amazing. She's really amazing. I've never seen someone move that fast. Well, don't look at me. I'm far too relaxed to run like that. No, I think Emmy's prowess all came from her father's side. At the mention of Emmy's father, Mrs. Ibarazaki looks wistful, almost sad. He got her into running, you know? No, really, I didn't know that. I leave it at that and don't say anything for a little while. I get the feeling this is something personal I shouldn't talk about. A beeping noise suddenly emanates from Mrs. Ibarazaki's pocket. Reaching into it, she pulls out a cell phone and looks at it. Honestly, text messages? What is he, 16? Oh, nothing. I've got to go meet up with a friend of mine. Will you tell Emmy I'm very proud of her and that I'll call her later tonight? Of course. While waiting for the relay to start up here at Rin, she seems uninterested in her surroundings, myself included. The remark she made before is still stuck in my head. Emmy's the most Emmy when she runs. It does make sense now I think about it after seeing her run now. I can believe that Emmy gives her all on the track. Sports are more than a hobby or even a competition to her, they're a defining aspect of her life. What about Rin then? Does she feel the same way about art? Considering the persistence she displayed before the festival, I could easily believe it. Did I see Rin at her most Rin when she was painting the mural? The relay is about to begin, but I don't see Emmy anywhere. I thought Emmy ran the relay. She runs anchor. So she won't be running for a while yet. Ah. Did you see it? Emmy at her Emmyest. Maybe. Maybe this time. The race begins, and I cheer Emmy's teammates along as they pass the baton. Finally, I see Emmy sprinting onto the track to take the final handoff. Once again, I'm taken aback by how graceful she looks when she runs. It really is beautiful. Look of determination and fearlessness on her face only adds to the picture. At her Emmyest, I suppose. Emmy flies across the finish line with a great leap, just barely ahead of the next runners, but still in first. Well, let's go down. Gotta crown the victor. See if we can find a laurel branch. That's not gonna be easy. Rin shrugs. At least we tried. Emmy is surrounded by her teammates, all of them congratulating her on the run. Rin seems to be waiting for Emmy to notice that she's arrived. Doesn't seem her style to draw attention to herself, or to emote beyond shrugging. Being more impatient than Rin, I wave to Emmy in her stead. She looks up and grins happily at us. Hey, you shut up. We would have brought you a clown of laurels, but Hazawa didn't find one. Neither did you. It wasn't my job to look. When did we assign jobs? When I said, see if you can find a laurel branch. Yeah. Try to keep up. I shrug, guess Rin's rubbing off on me. Seems it's my fault after all, Emmy. Emmy laughs at Rin and me. It's okay, I'm sure you'll make it up to me somehow. Sure. Good, so how'd I look? Very impressive. Emmy seems pleased with this assessment. I don't mention how much more impressive her performance is given her lack of legs. I figure she knows that already. Besides, it seems like that would take away from her efforts somehow. Great to hear. I was worried I looked a little slow on the relay, but I guess I did fine, huh? Emmy giggles and then seems to remember something. Oh, before I forget, Rin and I are going to do something next Sunday as a post-track meet celebration. You should come along. Normally we'd do it the day after, but since today is Sunday, I've got homework in class and all that stuff to take care of. Oh, sure, I'd love to. Great, it's a promise then. Alright, your mom wanted to say she's proud of you. She'll call you later tonight. I thought I saw her in the stands. I'm glad she made it. Amy, you're gonna miss the medal ceremony. Oh yeah, thanks. She turns to Rin and myself. You don't have to stick around for this part, it takes forever. Besides, you should get cracking on your homework now if you don't want to be up late, Hazawa. Emmy skips back to her teammates, leaving me and Rin by ourselves. Neither of us has the slightest interest in the post-competition ceremonies, so we silently get away and back to the quad. Rin yawns without even trying to restrain herself and shuffles her feet around restlessly. I feel awkward, but less so than if I was with someone else. Still, I'm left hanging, not knowing what I should say next. Amy was great, wasn't she? She was great. I'm very jealous of her. Why? Like I said, don't you think it's a great way to really be yourself? Sounds weird coming from Rin. I don't think you, of all people, should have trouble finding a way to express yourself. Don't you have your paintings? She turns to look at me. For the first time I see in her eyes a strange, hollow expression that I think must be unique to her. Now, you see, the problem is that I'm not really sure who I am. Oh, that was sudden. That was a really sudden cutoff. Okay, then. Today's art club meeting is currently on hold while everyone waits for Nomiya to show up. I take this time to try and explain my theory about Yamakuta Rin. I try to figure out what exactly about the school feels so special to me, that concept I unsuccessfully tried to explain to Yuko the other day. Still difficult, but the track meet and the time I spent observing my fellow students have helped my ideas mature a little. Have you noticed that people talk all the time? I can't really explain it, but once again, as I try to explain my observations, I'm struggling for words. The student body is heavily cliqued, and I'm only now beginning to make sense of the intricate grouping and popularity networks, and yet the feeling of being a part of a group is stronger here than I remember it being in my old schools. I'm trying to say this school isn't like the other schools, or at least the students aren't, even after discounting the obvious. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you mean. Oh, well, whatever then. I want to pursue the issue, but at that point, Nomiya arrives. The teacher is wiping sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief and breathing rather heavily. He quickly glances over the room, then settles down for a bit. Hello, hello. Apologies for being late. Is everyone present? Good. I must confess I haven't really planned anything for today, as I have been extremely busy lately, but I'm sure we can come up with something entertaining. Anyone have any suggestions? I was thinking we could have a discussion circle, since we haven't had one in a while. I, at least, found the last one magnificently enjoyable. There are some murmurs here and there, but nobody raises their voice in support or against Nomiya. We could delve into various movements of art. Or does someone have a good topic in mind? Come on, throw it out there. It doesn't matter if it's silly or odd. We can always cook up something interesting. Nobody seems to be brave enough to make such a suggestion. As the awkward silence refuses to be broken, I lift my hand in the air. Oh, our newest friend seems to have something in mind. Speak up, my boy, speak up. Well, I don't know about anything else, but I always wondered why art exists in the first place. Well, it's a drink break right now, so hold on. Alright. My voice trails off, a silence sets in the room, and nobody makes a follow-up on my meek suggestion. Then the teacher bursts into laughter. Oh, excellent. Very good indeed. Right out of the gate with the big one, huh? Fabulous. Chuckling, he drifts some papers around his desk for a few moments. When he's done, he appears to have made some sort of decision. Very well, then. Let us run with this and see where it gets us, shall we? Oh my, even an old fogey like me gets excited when such delicious enthusiasm is present. Oh my, indeed. Let me gather my thoughts for a moment so I can figure out a good starting point for everyone. For some reason, the teacher seems to be almost literally bursting with excitement. He scribbles a few things down on a loose sheet of paper, then cleans his glasses with the handkerchief. He strikes a pose, then freezes for an overly dramatic artistic pause that spans what must be half a minute. So quiet I could hear a pin drop. First, let's come up with a few suggestions that we want answered, such as, what is art, and why does art exist? Anyone have any questions that might be related? The boy with sunglasses pipes up almost immediately. His voice is soft and quiet, and I have a hard time making out what he says. What defines an artist? After him, another question comes up. If I fill a cardboard box with water and call it art, is it art? Everyone laughs at that, even the teacher. Great, wonderful, all of these. Let me start by saying that this is not a clear-cut issue by any means, and such. I'm not going to give any answers to you. I'm only going to speak from my own perspective. Scholars have argued about these sort of questions since time immemorial, and there's never really been a broadly applicable consensus reached. There are, however, some qualities that most tend to generally agree on. Hopefully you all should find these acceptable as well. In short, art defines itself. There simply cannot be contained in a definition from the outside, since the boundaries of art expand and contract from forces within. Every day, someone somewhere comes up with something completely outrageous that challenges any and all preconceptions. The core reason for this is that, rather than the rational side of the mind, art appeals to the intuition, the instinct, the primal. You would find it very hard to explain why exactly it is that you enjoy some particular style or piece, no? He doesn't wait for a response before continuing. This is exactly why. So art is this sort of wild, uncontrollable thing that lurks somewhere deep in our subconscious. Now, why does it exist? Nomiya apparently expects someone to pipe up with a guess, but as nobody dares to interrupt his inspired speech, he continues. It was a trick question, you see. Art also validates itself. Generally speaking, you might say that art exists for no other purpose than itself. It's something that exists merely to leave a mark in history. It's the defiance of a mortal against the face of darkness. As was once said, art is truly the proof of our existence. You should all know that human culture and civilization are tightly tied to the existence of art. Then what about artists? What drives a man to dedicate his life to a thing so fickle and mysterious that it even defies definition? There are as many answers for this as there are artists, but if I had to put it into words, an artist doesn't make art because he can, but because he must. Nomiya takes a pause, and his gaze sweeps over the audience, eyes flaring with passion. It is obvious that art touches the very soul of each and every human being in one way or another, so if you were given a chance to connect with your fellow man in such a fundamental way, how could you not? There is a poem I'm very much fond of, and I shall recite the most well-known part of it to you now. I feel that, for me personally, of all possible things, it captures best the essence of what it means to be an artist. Nomiya leans against the desk as he clears his throat in preparation. Looking at some distant place, he utters the words in a heavy afternoon air with his soft basso voice. To see a world in a grain of sand, not salt, I almost said salt, and a heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. There's a solemn and unbelievably awkward silence after he finishes reciting this short fragment. Nobody dares speak a word. Nomiya clears his throat again. To be an artist is to see the world in a grain of sand. You see, dear children, without art there would not be much to live for in this world. It is a most profound thing. He is clearly touched by this notion. I almost expect to see a lone tear rolling down his rough cheek, but it never comes. I turn to her and whisper to her, So, how is this a discussion circle? She shrugs nonchalantly back at me. The previous ones are the same. To his credit, Nomiya does try to get some debate going, but the club seemed to be reluctant to comply. I feel a bit guilty about opening my mouth. Maybe we would have been spared from this. As the meeting comes to a close, I realize we haven't once touched any paint or pens today, and I feel somewhat disappointed. Nomiya suddenly appears next to us. He seems to be still fired up from the speech he delivered. His cologne smells musky and saccharine, at the same time giving me an instant headache, even though I'm not sensitive to perfumes. He's looking at Rin like a hungry wolf. Tezuka, do you remember Mrs. Sayonji, who visited us at this festival? I think so. I'm going to tell you something amazing. The thing is, she's a very well-known gallerist around here. It turns out I might be able to get her to consider having some of your work put on display. He ends his sentence with a dramatic gesture. It seems he's expecting Rin to show some sort of joyous, shocked reaction at such grand news, but she just stares at him blankly. Magnificent, isn't it? This could be a real chance for us to get ahead, girl. But... Now, I know what you're about to say. Yes, it would be a simple affair. It wouldn't be a simple affair, but I think this is an absolutely fantastic opportunity. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we even make it big. This could be the first step. And then when the word is out, we strike while the iron is hot. Right, Nakai? Yeah, it does sound pretty great if you're into that kind of thing. See, we should definitely not let this one pass, am I right? I don't really... Rin seems to be troubled for some reason. I can't figure out why. What Nomiya is saying does indeed sound like a possibly great thing. She looks pretty down, though, and confused. I've never seen her like this. So, what do you think? Rin looks up to her teacher's glowing face and back down at her desk. I'll think about it. Nomiya is at last taken slightly aback by Rin's lack of superlative delight. Then he smiles widely at her and gently pats her head. Good girl. The club meeting is finally over, and as I lazily collect my things and help clean up, I start feeling exhausted for some reason. There isn't much to do, however, so it's over quickly. I catch up to Rin, who left the club room just a moment earlier. So we're walking down the stairs to the ground floor while I try to go over Nomiya's passionate speech about art. Rin seems to be lost in thought. Not an unusual state for her, I've learned, but something about her expression makes me feel uneasy. Penny for your thoughts? That'd be too cheap. You're just overpricing your thoughts. I wouldn't be able to sell them anyway. I'm not sure what I'm thinking yet. That'd be fraud too, like stealing a candy from baby. That's theft, not fraud. I have to think about what I think. Is this about what the teacher said, getting your work put on display and all that? She doesn't answer, but stops in her tracks as we reach the lobby. We're the only people around, so it's very quiet. Footsteps echo from a few floors up and as someone hurries along the hallway. I think I'm going to go somewhere elsewhere. I think she really is troubled. Want company? Can't promise much help with the thinking, but it's not like I have much else to do, and I'm supposed to do some light exercise. If you like. And that's going to be all for today. It's kind of a short episode, but I have to head up to Walmart. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.